We've seen tabs in action and how you can customize them and add tab leaders and really do some quite clever things with them. But there are two special tabs that I refer to as clever tabs because they do a completely different job. These two tabs are the bar tab and the decimal tab, and we're going to use the clever tabs working file to have a look at them in action. Now we add a bar tab in exactly the same way as we add any other tab, by going to the top left hand side here and rotating through all the tab types until you reach the bar tab, which is just a vertical line. We then come across to the ruler and click where we would like the bar tab to appear. But that will only happen in the current paragraph. So if I want to do it for this whole list here, I highlight all of that information, then go up here about the 1 inch mark and click, and I get a bar tab. Now what a bar tab does is create a physical bar down the page, and you can see that at the tab stop, and it also adds in a tab stop. So if I now go to beginning of this and tab, you can see that the text moves to the tab stop, which is just where the bar is. If I tab again, I'm then taken to the next tab stop. So I can do that with the next few lines, tab, 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 and tab, tab, tab. Quite useful in this particular case for an agenda item, because what we can now do is treat the left-hand side tab slightly differently and put our initials here of the person who's going to carry it out. And you see that has no effect on the tab stop across here. And we can move across to there using the arrow keys. Now the only slight amendment we would possibly make here is that the tab stop is immediately at the bar or at the next tab stop, and the gap is either nothing or ½ an inch, which is a bit too far. So let's highlight these paragraphs again and go back round to the left tab stop and place that just about here. So it's just a bit past the bar tab. And then you'll find that we can actually go back to that tab stop by deleting the tabs in between. And that just makes things a little bit neater. So that's the bar tab. If I go to the end of this paragraph and press return, just like any of the other tabs, when you're in a paragraph and press return, the tabs are repeated in the new paragraph, and we can see that that occurs here. New line appears, in which I could then put some initials, tab across to the tab stop that allows me to then type in the action. Don't forget the admin fee. So that's the bar tab. Extremely clever. If I press return again, but now I don't want those tabs, then I remove them exactly the same way as I've done previously. I just grab it and remove it from the tab bar and the left tab as well. And then this paragraph goes back to the default tabs of every ½ inch. Let's go look at page 2, where we have a section for decimal tab stops. Now the decimal tab stop works slightly differently to the other tab stops in that it works around the decimal place. Now firstly, I need to rotate through the tabs until I get the decimal tab, and it's this one here. It's actually a center tab with a little dot on. So I've found the decimal tab. I then come and highlight the paragraphs I want to be affected by my decimal tab, and then go into the ruler. Let's go quite a way along to the 2 inch mark and click. And at the 2 inch mark of each of these paragraphs, because I've got them all highlighted, there is now a decimal tab. Now what that does, if I go to the first line and tab across, is it moves the text, in this case the numbers, to be center aligned around the decimal place. So if I use the next one, you can see how this differs. It's the decimal points that are being lined up, regardless of how many characters there are to the left or the right of that decimal point. And with a whole number, it all appears on the left. Even though there is no decimal point, there is sort of an invisible one that aligns up. And then these two will come across and come across. Just like all the other tabs, if I then press return, this new paragraph has a decimal tab within it, so I can tab across and start typing a number, and you can see the integer part is all appearing on the left hand side. I then put a decimal place, and as I type the decimal part, that all appears on the right hand side. So we're center aligning around the decimal place. Quite useful if you want to align numbers by their decimal place, regardless of the number of places in the decimal part or the number of digits in the integer part. So these are two little clever tabs available in the same tab area up here. You place them in the ruler for the paragraphs you want affecting, and you're away with a bar tab and a decimal tab.